Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea Moran, and my topic today is when fear becomes the law. Before we get started, I would like to share with you all my thesis statement, which is how fear can rewire a society's moral compass and break it long before anyone realizes. That being said, I would like to share how in 2018, my family packed everything we could into one suitcase and left Nicaragua overnight. This wasn't because we had an elaborate plan to explore a new country or because an unexpected natural disaster occurred. We left because we had no choice. Fear had overtaken our lives. For anyone who's unfamiliar with what happened in Nicaragua in 2018, let me explain. It began with college students, people our age, fighting against corruption, rising costs, and the government defunding the social benefits of the elderly. They protested, all of which were peaceful. They were just people demanding dignity. Despite this, the government immediately reacted with violence. They sent paramilitary forces and other armed groups to stop these protests. People were beaten, taken, and tortured. During this time, hundreds were killed and thousands were injured. This moment completely changed everything for Nicaragua because once the government realized how effective these power-inducing methods were, they simply saw no future in stopping. The thing is that Nicaragua has been an oppressed country long before 2018. And this is something that my family has lived and experienced through. This censorship, this intimidation, and this unspoken fear and pressure, knowing that the government could take anything from you at any given moment, is something that they had experienced, whether if it was your job, your voice, or simply your safety. We just recognize all these patterns in 2018 because we had already experienced them. But 2018 was just really what tipped the glass over the edge. This long-lived oppression became undeniable, and we realized that we no longer could endure it. Following years after this canon event in 2018, the state of the country simply worsened. Reporters fled, newspapers were forced to shut down, churches were forced to step back down, priests and other opposing political members were arrested, activists started vanishing, and thousands of families and individuals were forced to exile the country. Which brings me to my first point of how fear can actually rewire a person's moral judgment. As we've known, psychology has taught us how fear can actually change the way in which people think, making me think of Stanley Milgram's experiment. His experiment that focuses on how ordinary people chose to agree on harming others simply because they were afraid of disobeying. His argument is very clear and very concise. He argues that fear doesn't necessarily make people evil, but rather just makes them obedient. And when that fear takes over a person's moral judgment, it's when ethics collapse. And that shift happened in real time in Nicaragua. After 2018, solidarity completely was destroyed. People stopped gathering and standing together. Soon after my family left, fear overtook everyone's life. You didn't know who you could trust, and simply discussing the state's and country's political condition became an even scarier feat to stand on. And I want to emphasize how much over the years this condition has worsened. To bring it to today, Nicaragua in 2025, something that still feels bizarre to me is how my entire life I've been a dual citizen. of both Nicaragua and the United States. But today, I'm no longer legally a Nicaraguan citizen. And that's because the government stripped the citizenship of thousands of Nicaraguans, artists, activists, students, priests, and other dual citizens like me. No trial, no explanation, they simply erased us. And if I ever were to try to reclaim my rights as a Nicaraguan citizen, I could be jailed the moment I set foot into the country. What is very scary about this is that this is actually what a nation can look like when fear becomes a law. Power doesn't not only just control what people are allowed to do, but also who people are allowed to be. And as I've shared all of this with you guys, you might be questioning yourself, why should anyone outside of Nicaragua care? And it's because fear is not a Nicaraguan issue. Fear is used everywhere, in workplaces, in governments, and even in our own personal relationships. Fear actually shapes obedience, behavior, and silence. So, if we want to learn about fear, we can break it. One has to realize that ethics isn't about what we believe in, it's about what we have the courage to act on. Which is why I ask all of you all to choose curiosity over comfort, to choose celerity over silence. The truth is that it doesn't require a dictatorship for power or fear to control people. It just takes a culture in which where speaking up feels dangerous. So go out there, because if enough ordinary people come together, fear can be destroyed. Thank you all for your time today.